He was a college All-American at Georgetown, a two-time NBA All-Star with the Indiana Pacers. Now he's my colleague at CBS Sports Network, and he's also a content creator making videos for YouTube. It's the great Roy Hibbert. Roy Hibbert, it's GP. How you doing, buddy?
GP, are you with me? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you, and thanks for having me on the show.
It's good to see you. I can't wait to be back in studio with you in New York. I was always told this content creation thing, that's a young man's game, and here's basketball retired 37-year-old Roy Hibbert breaking into the game. How did you decide to start creating these types of videos, and have you been surprised at the response? Because they're really catching on.
Well, I appreciate that. So, like, a lot of times when I used to play, since I retired, I watch a lot more YouTube and a lot of, college basketball, NBA, or maybe video games and stuff. So once I saw that and the reach that those, people had, and seeing that, I do a little bit of broadcasting, I'm just like, how can I put the two in that, where I can make it digestible, where I can, talk basketball to get better at broadcasting and get polished, and then also practice and talk about NBA and then expand, do some things that you can't do in studio or at a game. And I throw some teasers in there, I throw some cutaway gags, some funny stuff throughout in the content. So I'm just trying to find a mix.
I love just the passion. I've been sitting in that studio for a long time now, and almost without exception, the former players who come in have all been great guys. We all get along. But if I'm being honest, not all of them really attack it and tackle it with the same passion they probably had when they were trying to be a professional basketball player. But with you, and I've told this to other people, you worked like crazy to be the best basketball player you could be, became that, retired from that, and now you're actually working like crazy to become the best at this you can be, which is something I genuinely admire.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it out the mud like you guys and just work. I have passion, I have pride in my work, and I feel like being a broadcaster is a lot harder than being on the court actually playing, because you got to remember names. You have a producer in your ear saying, "Hey, come on, let's go." Pete Gillum has to get his point across and everything like that. Like a can of worms. I'm shaking like a can of worms. But no, I enjoy it, and I just wanted to get better at it and just and have fun, but definitely being a broadcaster is a lot harder.
I'm talking to Roy Hibbert, two-time NBA All-Star, my colleague, CBS Sports Network. So one of your latest videos is on Zach Edey. I mentioned it to the audience earlier. It's about 11 minutes. It's a breakdown of what you're seeing in the NBA offensively, defensively. Roy, as you know, we set a studio, we watched this guy play college basketball. There's no debating he was great, but people did debate whether he would translate to the NBA. We're now, a handful of games into his career. You've broken it down. What are you seeing from Zach Edey?
So one thing before we start, I do regret is I question whether I should put a video. The name of the video was "I Was Wrong About Zach Edey," and I questioned myself putting at the beginning of the video myself watching C-Walk actually do an interview where he said that he should be the #1 pick in the NBA draft, and I said to myself, "There's no way." But he's been pretty strong in terms of wanting to get better up until that draft. So the crux of my video was that there was so little games that we could watch so I can, make a proper assessment, because, during the summer league, he got hurt after, I think 1 game or 1.5 games he was playing. So it's not a large sample size. Didn't play too much in the Olympics, and then obviously went back and didn't play that much in the preseason. So I felt like the point of the video was I had gotten to 5 to 6 games in, and I said, all right, this is a small enough sample size where he's played against different people from different heights, speed. Let me see how he's getting his buckets. And he's getting his buckets by having a great relationship with Ja. He gets lobs. Hopefully Ja, stays healthy throughout the year, and that relationship could bloom. But he's also getting it with other players as well. He gets off a lot of dump-off passes, and I really like his progression in terms of offense. But the biggest thing for me was just how is he going to move his feet on defense, and he actually really did surprise me.
I made note of that in the video. You used the term, it looks like Zach Edey already has a, quote, great relationship with Ja Morant. Then you mentioned it looks like he already has a great relationship with Scottie Pippen Jr. How does a big like Zach Edey, like you, create a great relationship with his guards? What has to happen?
It's nothing sexy, but I can honestly tell you, after practice, before practice, doing the same drills with Ja. Like, hey, Ja, he gets up shots maybe before or after practice. You as a rookie big man say, hey, Ja, how can I, get in on what you're doing so you can still get your shot? So they may have a 1-5 pick and roll in the middle. Ja comes down, throws a lob up to Zach, and then he may brush out to the corner for a three. So he's getting his passing in, and then he's also getting his shot too. So it's a give and take, and then they work on different variations. All right, this lob's not there. I give it a shovel pass, or this time I snap it back out to an assistant coach, and then he'll hit Zach Edey for a post, and then I'll maybe like get out to the wing and then make a dribble move to the paint. So it's just repetition, doing things 20 times in a row, being monotonous, getting a relationship down, going over like all the variables and everything like that. So that's how I did it with my teammates.
When you were breaking down the defensive stuff, there's drop coverage, and I think we all assumed he was going to play some drop coverage in the NBA based on foot speed and other aspects. But as you point out, he's switching some stuff too and kind of holding his own in space. Can you expand on that?
Well, so before obviously coming on this on the pod, I just wanted to like catch up on the last 4 or 5 games, and like a lot of things that I look at when I see him like isolated on like a LeBron James, I see his mouth moving and I see his hands like, all right, I'm sending him to like I'm being isolated, I'm going to send him to his left hand, or I'm going to make somebody make a pull up. So I'm just watching body language, seeing like if he's down in a position like ready to go. I have a video coming out on like how to guard a pick and roll, and I primarily talk about the guard situation. I use an example of Jordan Poole, and there's like 6 feet away from the ball handler, and it's so for me, the fact that he's up is taking away like a walk-up three, and then at the same time, if the guard wants to fight over the screen instead of sitting so far back, it just makes his presence a lot more viable.
Help me understand what the transition is for a big from college to the NBA. When you're at Georgetown plays at your speed. Everything's revolving around you. At Purdue, they play at Zach Edey's speed. Everything's around him. In the NBA, that changes. What do you remember about being a rookie big in the NBA as it pertains strictly to the speed of the game?
So I'll say this. The speed of the game, I think he has it. I had a tough time just learning like the patterns of the game within the game. There's been a couple times Zach has actually had he's had offensive screens, fouls set called on him primarily. I think against a Lakers game and everything like that, like 2 in a row. And it's just that, like, you have to maybe slow down and get adjusted. You pick up 2 quick fouls, setting the screen. You're on the bench now in the first quarter. So maybe like the speed of the game, is what people think about, but just the pace of like, all right, now I have to learn each player that I'm playing against who's a lot quicker and faster than the players I played with at Purdue. Just, all right, you know what? This player likes to come off the screen, and like he goes off a second, but he leaves a second before the screen is set. So I have to adjust myself so I don't put myself in a position to create a turnover and I pick up a foul. So I've seen a little bit of that. He's had some turnovers, so it's just like you're going to hit the rookie wall a couple of times, and I experienced all of that.
On the offensive end, he's setting screens, he's catching lobs, finishing around the rim. He is also taking threes when they're available. You point out in the video, he doesn't have to take transition threes. He doesn't have to take them from the top of the key. But if you can put him in a corner, and if they're going to leave him alone, just knock that one down consistently where they have to honor it. That is a weapon. Is that something you've seen that appears he can develop?
Man, I love it. Just, I guess the other night against the Wizards, I know he had a little bit of a tussling, getting physical with Valanciunas, but he hit a three, and like a deep three, and then Valanciunas didn't even try to contest. He just went to go box out. Like, there was nobody like within like 10 feet of him and everything like that. So, and he blew like a kiss, or he has like something that he's doing now. So I feel like he's a viable threat from there. I've seen him hit a couple threes, and to be able to stretch the court is great. Look at, I always think about Brook Lopez when he first started out, in 08 with myself. Sorry about that. He was primarily a low post player, but as he developed, he kept his career long. He got, with the Lakers, he started shooting more threes. And then, so he's primarily known as like a stretch five, when 10, 12 years ago, he was like a back to the basket all-star level player. So the fact that Edey's like, mixing that in now, I think that's amazing. And he doesn't need to take more than like 1-3 a game just to, and then improve as he keeps going.
Wrapping up here with Roy Hibbert, two-time NBA All-Star with the Pacers, now my colleague, CBS Sports. Last thing before I let you go, not many of us know what it's like to be a successful athlete to your level, get traded or moved on, and then have to come back to that place for whatever you're about to experience. Klay Thompson's going to do that tonight in Golden State as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah. You once, after being a two-time All-Star with the Pacers, you were traded to the Lakers, and then you end up back in Indianapolis. What do you remember about that experience and the emotions attached to it?
To be honest with you, I was nervous. I had been with Indiana for a while. I remember when I got drafted there, it was like a couple years after the brawl, and they were talking about how they needed players who were like tough on the court, but then off the court, they wanted good people for the community and everything like that. So that was burned into my head as soon as I got drafted. That's what everybody in the front office was saying. So I felt like that's how I carried myself when I played. So it was disheartening to hear when I got traded, and I didn't, and then they were booing me. The Pacer fans were booing me. To be honest with you, that hurt. But like, I had to get over it. It's a business. I go back there. People love me now and everything like that. But in the heat of the moment. But I feel like Klay brought championships upon championships for that organization. So I feel like he won't get the whole booing from the crowd point of view. The type of experience that I had. I think that he'll be embraced. I think he'll always be known as a Golden State Warrior, Splash Brothers. But at the same time, as a player, I'm sure he's going to be on that bus. He wants to have a good game. He probably wants to have like, a great first quarter and then just, probably have 30 in the first. So I feel like he'll have nerves, but he's a proven winner, and I feel like he'll just go out there and play. And I think he's a team first guy, but I think in the back of his mind, he probably wants to have a good game.
That is former NBA All-Star Roy Hibbert, and now working in sports media at CBS Sports Network. If you're not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, go do that. Incredible content. Roy Hibbert at YouTube. It's Roy Hibbert at YouTube, and he's on X at Roy_meets_world. That's at Roy_meets_world. You're the best, buddy. I can't thank you enough for your time. I can't wait to see you in New York.
For sure. One last thing.
Okay.
Next time we got to talk about mallards and ducks, all right?
We got into a conversation on the Ion College Basketball Podcast about a Providence fan bringing a duck to a game last week. And like most conversations on that podcast, it went way off the rails. But I'll get you in a good duck conversation next time for sure.
All right. Thank you, man. Y'all take it easy.
You're the best, brother. That's Roy Hibbert, a former Georgetown legend, NBA All-Star.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.